They won't tell you this in school. They won't say it outright in job interviews. And most people live their entire lives running from the truth. But here it is, raw and unfiltered. You will never rise above the picture you hold of yourself. Not in business, not in relationships, not in life. A man who sees himself as average will sabotage success the moment it arrives. A woman who believes she's unworthy will find a way to reject love when it knocks. And a dreamer who secretly doubts his power will spend his life building other people's empires, never his own. It's not talent that holds most people back. It's not time. It's not money. It's not bad luck. It's the mirror they can't look into. It's the identity they refuse to change. Because here's the brutal law of achievement. You will never outperform your self-image. You can't outwork a mind that doesn't believe it deserves the reward. You can't outdiscipline a subconscious that sees itself as broken. You can't visualize your way into greatness while dragging around an internal portrait painted in fear, shame, and insecurity. You have to rebuild yourself, not just your habits, your identity, not just your goals, your vision of who you are. Because every action you take, every risk you avoid, every dream you chase halfway and then retreat from, it's all being dictated by one thing. The invisible thermostat inside your mind. You were born limitless. You were born as potential in motion. But the world went to work on you. They gave you labels. They told you who you were. They whispered things when you weren't looking. And you started to believe them. You're not smart enough. You're not attractive enough. You don't have what it takes. You'll never be more than this. And the worst part is, you didn't fight back. You built a personality around their doubts. You shaped your confidence around their fear. You learned to live in a cage they built for you, and you called it reality. But reality is not fixed. Reality is fluid. And your self-image is the blueprint that molds it. You want more money? Start believing you're the kind of person who earns it. You want more impact? Start seeing yourself as someone who creates it. You want more impact? Start seeing yourself as someone who creates it. You want discipline? You'll need to stop calling yourself lazy, because every word you say about yourself is either a spell or a sentence. Edison wasn't a genius because of some cosmic accident. He decided he was an inventor. He saw himself as someone who would change the world, and then he aligned his life with that vision. Over 1,000 failed attempts didn't shake his belief, because his self-image was stronger than his setbacks. Carnegie wasn't just rich. He was relentless. He believed he had the right to learn from the best and become the best. He built steel empires, not because the world handed him power, but because he saw himself as a man who was born to lead. The world eventually agreed. So the question is, who do you see when you close your eyes? What kind of man are you? What kind of woman? What do you whisper to yourself when nobody's watching? Because that's the truth. And that truth is either your prison or your power. They talk about manifestation like it's magic, like if you just think it, it'll appear. No, it's not magic, it's mental alignment. You don't manifest what you want, you manifest what you are. If your self-image is small, your dreams will shrink to fit it. If your self-image is broken, your confidence will bleed through every crack. If your self-image is weak, you will avoid every moment that asks you to be strong. But the beauty of it all, self-image is not destiny, it's a decision. You can rewire your identity, you can reshape your reflection. But you have to do the internal work, not the external show. You can read all the books, watch all the videos, buy all the planners and journals and productivity apps. But if deep down you still see yourself as not enough, then every goal will come with a hidden expiration date. And you won't even know why you keep failing, why you keep falling short, why you keep burning out halfway. You're not lazy, you're misaligned. You're running software that was installed when you were too young to question it, and now you're living a life scripted by ghosts from your past. But today, you can break the cycle. You can look yourself in the eye and say, I'm done pretending I'm less than I am. I'm done shrinking to fit into someone else's comfort zone. I'm done accepting average, not because you're arrogant, not because you're entitled, but because deep down, you know you were meant for more. This isn't about ego. This is about purpose. And purpose demands a new version of you, one that stands tall, one that acts with clarity, one that speaks with conviction, one that looks into the mirror and sees a warrior, not a victim. You can't perform miracles from a mindset of mediocrity. You can't build empires with a foundation of insecurity. You can't live your calling while carrying shame. So drop it. Drop the mask. Drop the lies. Drop the version of yourself that the world convinced you to become. And now, rebuild from the inside out, with intention, with discipline, with boldness. Because you don't get what you wish for, you get what you believe you are. You get what you prepare for, what you expect, what you allow. And when your self-image changes, everything changes, fast. Not because the world suddenly becomes easier, but because you stop playing small. You stop saying maybe someday and start saying now. You stop asking for permission and start creating your own lane. You stop hoping to be chosen and choose yourself. This is where people get it wrong. They try to chase success like it's a prize handed out at the end. But success doesn't respond to what you chase. It responds to who you are while you chase it. And if you chase it with insecurity, it runs. If you chase it with desperation, it hides. If you chase it while still doubting yourself, it delays. But when you embody the version of yourself that already is successful, the world begins to bend around that image. Look at Henry Ford. They laughed at him. They said he was crazy. You want to build a machine that drives itself, and yet he didn't see himself as a man chasing a fantasy. He saw himself as a builder of the future. So he became that. He didn't wait for approval. He didn't wait for funding or applause. He built from belief, not from proof. And you must do the same. You must upgrade your identity before your results change, because results follow the leader. And the leader is your self-image. You want to build wealth? It doesn't start with a bank account. It starts with the belief that you're the kind of person who manages, attracts, and multiplies wealth. You want to build a business? It doesn't start with branding or marketing. It starts with your internal vision, the part of you that says, I am a builder. I solve problems. I lead. I finish what I start. You want to change your health? It doesn't begin with a diet. It begins with a decision. I am not someone who gives up. I am not someone who breaks promises to myself. And that identity, that deep, unshakable truth you anchor to, that becomes the standard for every decision. See, when you upgrade your self-image, you stop negotiating with weakness. You stop entertaining distractions. You stop explaining your failures and start eliminating the causes. That's when the power shows up. That's when discipline becomes natural, because it's no longer a question of should I. It's of course I do. It's who I am. This is why belief is the most dangerous force in the world. For better or worse, believe you're worthless. You'll live like it. Believe you're a victim. Life will prove you right. Believe you're a leader. Others will start to follow. Believe you're powerful. The world will begin to respond accordingly. Because belief shapes behavior. And behavior creates results. And results reinforce belief again and again until it becomes your reality. But here's the key. It doesn't matter how many times you've failed. It doesn't matter how long you've lived with a broken self-image. What matters is the moment you realize that it was never the truth. It was a story. It was programming. It was survival. But now, you're not here to survive. You're here to build. You're here to lead. You're here to transform. And transformation requires destruction. You must destroy the old image to make space for the new one. You must let go of the false identities, the I'm not good enough, the I always mess things up, the who am I to do this, who are you? You're the one who gets back up. You're the one who writes new chapters. You're the one who refuses to settle. Lincoln failed in business. He lost elections. He battled depression. But his self-image, unshakable. He saw himself as someone who must rise not for ego but for purpose, for legacy, for impact. And when you attach your self-image to something bigger than yourself, a mission, a calling, a vision, that's when your doubts lose their power, because you stop making decisions based on how you feel and start acting based on who you've decided to become. Listen to me. You don't need more motivation. You don't need another life hack. You need identity alignment. You need to wake up and act like the person you're trying to become. Not tomorrow. Not when it's convenient. Now. If you say you're committed, act like it. If you say you're ready, prove it. If you say you're different, live it. Because you're not just building a business. You're not just chasing a goal. You're building yourself. And that is the real work. The gym, it's not for your body. It's for your identity. The early mornings, they're not about time. They're about character. The vision board, it's not about pictures. It's about reinforcing who you are becoming. Every habit is a vote for your future self. Every decision is either an investment or a withdrawal. You're either proving your old identity right or building the new one brick by brick with fire in your eyes, because here's the truth. Most people will never break free. They'll never rewrite their story. They'll never challenge the mirror. Because it hurts to destroy what you've spent years pretending to be. But you're not most people. You didn't come here for safety. You came here for power. You came here to rewrite the rules, to break the cycle, to silence the voices that told you to stay small. You came to rise, not once, but again and again, until the world recognizes the reflection you refuse to deny. But listen carefully. You can't just think your way there. You have to embody it. You have to feel it in your bones before the world believes it's real, because no external breakthrough will ever outrun a weak internal identity. This is where people fall short. They chase transformation on the outside. New goals, new outfits, new people, new environments, but they still carry the same old operating system. You want a different life? You need a different core. That means doing the work nobody sees. The mental rep, the emotional healing, the brutal honesty in the dark when no one's watching. That's the soil success grows in, not Instagram posts and highlight reels. You see, most people walk through life like actors, wearing masks, performing roles, afraid of being seen. But greatness requires exposure. You have to be willing to see the parts of yourself that you've avoided. The weakness, the guilt, the shame, the fear. You have to drag it into the light and say, this no longer defines me, because the version of you that wins, that creates, that inspires, that leads, they don't hide behind broken narratives. They rewrite them. Every great leader you admire, they had to face this reckoning. Walt Disney, fired for lack of imagination. Nelson Mandela, 27 years in prison before the world heard his voice. J.K. Rowling, rejected over and over before the world saw her genius. But they never rejected themselves. Even when the world said no, they held a yes deep within. A vision, an image, a knowing that said, this is not where my story ends. Can you say the same? Can you stand in the middle of failure, fear, and silence, and still believe in who you are becoming? That's the test. And it never goes away. Because every new level of your life will demand a stronger version of your self-image. The person who earns 6 figures is not the person who earns 7. The person who leads a team is not the same as the one who leads a movement. The person who starts the journey is not the one who finishes it. You must evolve. And that evolution is an act of war against your comfort, against your excuses, against the idea that who you've been is the limit of who you can become. You're not here to just survive the day. You're here to shape the world around you. You're here to shape the world around you, to build something that outlives your body, to become someone whose name means something. But none of that happens until you shift your identity. Not pretend, not fake it, but install it like a new code in your mind, running silently, shaping every thought, every choice, every movement, And when you do that, when it finally clicks, you'll feel it. There's a shift. Suddenly, things you used to avoid become effortless. Decisions get clearer. Distractions lose their pull. Standards go up. Conversations change. And the people who once felt like your circle will feel more like chains, because your self-image determines your boundaries. And when you see yourself as valuable, powerful, worthy, you no longer tolerate anything less. That includes how people speak to you, how you speak to yourself, how you treat your body, how you spend your time. Because now you know everything is a reflection of identity. You can't fake this. You can't patch it with affirmations. You can't bandage it with ambition. It has to come from the inside. It has to be built in the fire of honesty and repetition, over and over again until it becomes second nature to walk like a leader, think like a visionary, move like someone who refuses to be ordinary. Let the others be realistic. Let the others stay safe. You are not here for that. You are here for mastery. You are here for meaning. You are here to wake up each morning with a spine made of steel and a heart full of purpose. But let me warn you, the old image will fight. It will scream. It will beg for survival, because the part of you that's comfortable being small is terrified of what you're becoming. It knows it can't survive in the light. It feeds on comfort, on excuses, on doubt. So you must kill it with proof, daily proof. You don't become someone new by thinking. You become someone new by acting as if you already are. You say no to the things you used to say yes to. You wake up earlier. You go the extra rep. You keep promises to yourself. You get quiet and listen to your soul when the world gets loud. And every time you do, your identity shifts. One notch higher, one layer deeper, and one day you'll look back and say, that's who I used to be. But I outgrew that version. And it won't feel like ego. It'll feel like truth. Because when your self-image rises, the world can't help but notice. Opportunities appear. Doors open. People listen, not because they changed, but because you did. See, you don't attract what you want. You attract what you believe you deserve. And that belief, it's not surface level. It's in your habits. It's in your posture. It's in how you respond when life tests you, and life will test you. Because the universe doesn't reward declarations. It rewards alignment. And until your self-image matches your destiny, it will keep sending you lessons instead of blessings. So the question is not, what do you want? The question is, who are you becoming? Because every goal you write down is asking you to evolve, and every dream that scares you is showing you the gap between where you are and where you're called to be. Don't ignore that gap. Stare at it, study it, and then become the bridge. Don't pray for a better life. Become the person that better life belongs to. Don't wait to be chosen. Start choosing yourself. And don't ask, what if I fail? Ask, what if I finally become who I was meant to be? That version of you already exists, but it's buried under years of hesitation, guilt, and watered-down ambition. It's time to dig. Time to resurrect your power. You want wealth? You want wealth? Then stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like a creator. Start speaking in terms of value, not price. Start showing up like someone who commands attention, not seeks validation. You want influence? Then stop copying and start standing. Start being someone who leads from conviction, not convenience. Start becoming the person others look at and say, they know exactly who they are, because that is rare. That is power. In a world full of noise, identity cuts through. People feel it. They may not know why they're drawn to you, but they are, because you carry clarity, and clarity is magnetic. But clarity doesn't come from waiting. It comes from deciding. Decide who you are, not based on your past, not based on your mistakes, not based on what they said or didn't say, but based on what you know you're here to do. That kind of decision rewrites timelines. It alters your frequency. It forces the old version of you to collapse under the weight of your new standards. And when that happens, you'll start to lose things. You'll lose friends. You'll lose distractions. You'll lose parts of yourself that once felt essential, but they were only keeping you grounded in mediocrity. Don't mourn the loss. Celebrate it. It means you're finally moving. Growth requires grief, not grief for what's ending, but for the illusion that kept you stuck. The illusion that success was for other people, that greatness was in your bloodline, or wasn't. That power came from titles or money or someone else's permission. No, power comes from identity, and identity comes from ownership. You must own your story, every broken chapter of it. You must own your ambition, even when it makes others uncomfortable. You must own your pain, not as a victim, but as a weapon sharpened by fire. That's the kind of energy that shifts rooms. That's the kind of person who can no longer be ignored. That's the kind of self-image that creates movements, not just moments. And yes, it will be lonely at first, because when you rise, you break the mirror for everyone still sitting. Your elevation exposes their excuses. Your confidence threatens their doubt. Your clarity reminds them of every choice they avoided, and they'll try to pull you back, not because they hate you, but because your freedom confronts their fear. Don't take it personally. Bless them, love them, but keep climbing. You're not here to be understood. You're here to become undeniable. And that starts now. Today, in this moment, you don't need permission. You don't need more time. You need to decide. This is who I am now. This is what I stand for. This is what I will no longer tolerate. This is the level I operate at, whether the world catches up or not. And when the days get heavy, because they will, when you doubt yourself, because you will, when you question everything, come back to the truth. You will never outperform your self-image. So feed it, train it, speak life into it, guard it like it's sacred, because it is. It's your foundation. It's your engine. It's the lens through which you see every opportunity, every obstacle, every outcome. If that lens is cracked, the world looks impossible. If that lens is clear, the world looks like a canvas. And you're the artist. So stop waiting for someone to give you the brush. Take it. Dip it in your pain. Dip it in your fire. Dip it in your vision. And start painting a life that reflects who you really are. Not who they said you were. Not who you pretended to be. But the real you. The one who never left. Just got buried. And here's the thing. You don't have to scream to prove it. You don't need to announce your arrival. Your presence will say everything, because when your identity is locked in, when your actions reflect that identity, when your self-image aligns with your purpose, you become inevitable. There's nothing more dangerous than a human being who has decided to believe in themselves truly, unconditionally, unapologetically, because once belief locks in, the limits fall off. The fear dies. The hesitation vanishes. And what's left is a force that does not ask, it moves. And when you move from identity, not insecurity, your life begins to organize around it. Not immediately, but undeniably. Day by day, moment by moment, you show the world what you are, not through your words, but through your walk. You walk different when you know who you are. Your spine straightens, your eyes steady, your energy sharpens. Because when your self-image is built on truth, not trauma, on vision, not validation, on standards, not survival, you stop trying to fit in. You weren't made to fit in. You were made to stand the hell out. But that won't happen until you kill the version of yourself that still thinks you're ordinary. You're not. You never were. The world conditioned you to believe that greatness is rare. But it's not. It's simply hidden beneath the noise. And that noise, that constant pressure to be like everyone else, it drowns the voice inside you that says you were built for more. Not more likes, not more followers, not more applause, but more impact, more clarity, more purpose, more depth. That's the fuel of the new identity. That's what you lock into when you choose to outgrow your old patterns. When you stop running in circles and start walking in alignment. It's not about being louder. It's about being rooted. Rooted in who you are. Rooted in why you're here. Rooted in the image of the person you've decided to become, regardless of who supports it. Because not everyone will. And that's okay. The old you needed approval. The new you moves from assignment. You are not here to convince people. You're here to become undeniable through your results. You're here to walk into rooms and carry so much presence that people feel you before they hear you. And they'll wonder what it is. But it's not what you've done. It's who you've become. That's the real power. It's not in the car. It's not in the house. It's not in the money. It's in the quiet knowing that nothing around you controls you anymore. Because now your self-image is forged, not fabricated, and once it's forged, nothing can shake it. Not failure, not judgment, not delay, not even success itself. Because now you're not chasing achievement, you're embodying identity. And from that space, the grind becomes joy. The struggle becomes fuel. The critics become background noise. Because your life stops being a performance and starts being a statement. You wake up with fire. You walk with purpose. You choose discipline over dopamine, growth over comfort, legacy over ego. That's what happens when you elevate the image. Not just what you see in the mirror, but what you hold in your mind, what you speak into the universe, what you believe deep down when no one is clapping. You either see yourself as the leader of your life, or you become a follower of your fear. And you can't serve both. You have to pick a side. You have to plant a flag and say, this is who I am. This is how I move. This is what I refuse to apologize for anymore. And yes, it's going to challenge you. Because every new level of self-image comes with new responsibilities, new accountability, new solitude, new standards. You don't break promises to yourself. You don't lower your voice in rooms that aren't ready for you. You build your own room. You build your own reality. You build a life that echoes long after you're gone. That's the legacy of an elevated self-image. Not just success, but significance. Not just hustle, but honor. Not just winning, but becoming. And if you want that, really want it, then stop rehearsing your limits. Start rehearsing your identity. Say it again and again until it rewires your nervous system. I am not who I used to be. I am not what they said I was. I am not here to fit a mold. I am here to create, to expand, to walk with vision, power, and relentless alignment. That is the work. That is the mission. That is the only path that leads to lasting success. Because until you believe it, you will never build it. And until you become it, you will never sustain it. So stop waiting. Start becoming. You want to know the truth? There is a version of you that terrifies your current self. A version that no longer checks the mirror for permission. A version that doesn't flinch when pressure rises. A version that speaks and people listen. But you'll never meet them until you let go of the one that's afraid to be seen. This life you want, the wealth, the peace, the meaning, the respect. It's not found in books or in quotes or in someone else's blueprint. It's activated from within. It's coded into your very being. But it's been buried by years of compromise, of shrinking, of waiting for someone to say, now you're ready. But here's the truth. No one tells you. No one is coming to crown you, because your greatness was never meant to be handed over. It was meant to be claimed through fire, through grit, through 1,000 quiet mornings when no one is clapping but you show up anyway. This is the moment where you draw the line. The moment you stop performing and start becoming. The moment you no longer negotiate with doubt. The moment your self-image catches up with your soul. Because you've always known. You've always known there was more in you. More strength, more creativity, more depth, more fire. You've tasted it in the silence. You've seen glimpses of it in your dreams. You've felt it pulling at you, even on the darkest days. And still, you let the old version lead. But that ends here. Right now, in this breath, the war ends. Not because the noise stops, but because you stop believing it. You stop giving your past a vote in your future. You stop giving fear a seat at your table. You stop asking for permission to be powerful. And you begin to move like it's already done. You walk into the gym with the energy of someone who respects their temple. Into your business like someone building an empire. You speak to people like someone who values their voice. You lead your life like someone who knows the clock is ticking. Because it is. This life isn't a practice round. It's not a dress rehearsal. You don't get to come back and try again as someone else. This is it. This is your chapter, your pen, your story, and you get to choose right now how it's going to be written. You can write it in fear like everyone else, or you can write it in faith, with conviction, with clarity, with that bold, unshakable self-image that says, I will rise, not because I've never fallen, but because I stopped letting failure tell me who I am. That's the difference. That's what separates those who build lives of impact from those who settle into lives of survival. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's identity. And the boldest move you'll ever make is believing in the person you haven't fully met yet. Speaking their name before the world does. Moving like them before the results show up. Living from vision, not memory. That's the work. And when it's hard, and it will be hard, you remind yourself, the old you would have quit. The old you would have made excuses. The old you would have chosen comfort. But this version chooses growth. This version chooses power. This version wakes up every day and says, I am not here to impress you. I am here to express me. Raw, real, unfiltered, unapologetic. You're not chasing success anymore. You are success in motion. You're not looking for signs anymore. You are the sign. You're not hoping someone sees your worth. You've already seen it. And now the world is just catching up because you've remembered who you are, because you've rebuilt your image, not on what broke you, but on what refined you. And when you walk in that truth, every room changes. Every dream becomes reachable. Every ceiling becomes glass. And every doubt becomes fuel. This is not hype. This is not fantasy. This is your calling. And the price is everything you're afraid to let go of. The old stories, the small goals, the weak language, the fake confidence, the people who don't see you. Let it all go. Not in anger, but in graduation. Because you don't hate your past. You just outgrew it. And now you walk different. You breathe different. You think different. You speak different. Because now you are different. You are no longer asking, what if I fail? You are now declaring, what if I win? So loudly, the world can't forget I was here. So go, move, create, lead, build, speak, become. You've done enough waiting, enough rehearsing, enough doubting. Now is the time. Today is the line. And this is your invitation to rise, because you will never outperform your self-image. But once you raise it, you will never again settle for less.